is up, Broncos fans? The Denver Broncos Show back here again to do another video. First video of the 2014-2015 NFL season. Excited that football's back. This is kind of the time of year for all NFL fan bases out there to kind of have a sense of hope, sense of excitement, watch their team's new draft picks, new acquisitions, and just, kind of get ready for, that chase for the Lombardi that every team obviously embarks on this time of the year. Obviously, there's a lot of chippiness and I guess a lot of drama going into this game, hype going into this game if you want. So it was good to play Seattle and beat them, but I mean, it is the preseason, and last time I checked, the last time we played them in a meaningful game, they won 43-8 and embarrassed us in Super Bowl 48. So, I don't really, as a Bronco fan, I really didn't buy into the whole revenge theme after the game that all the reporters and stupid national media wanted to make it out to be. I mean, it's preseason. Who really gives a shit? We beat them 21-16. That score means nothing to me. The only score that means anything to me regarding the as a Broncos fan, regarding the Seahawks, is 43-8. So, and you got to kind of take this with a grain of salt. No Cam Chancellor for Seattle. No Bobby Wagner. No Marshawn Lynch. They're missing plenty of starters. So are we. No Von Miller. No Kevin Vickerson. In this video, kind of going to focus on some of the things that stood out to me, some of the things I thought we did well, and some of the players that I thought played pretty well. So, starting with the defensive line and offensive line. Now, if you go back to Super Bowl 48, we got destroyed in the trenches against Seattle's defensive line and Seattle's offensive line. In this game, I thought it was kind of the complete opposite. I thought our offensive line manhandled their defensive line. We even kind of let them know about it after that first scoring drive we had. It was, I think, our first team offense had an 18-play drive on their defense. Really just wore the defensive line out. Thought our offensive line played with great physicality. Ryan Clady, having him back and now moving Orlando Franklin from right tackle to left guard, really looks like it's going to pay off for our offense this year. I thought Manny Ramirez played well. Chris Clark was even solid. Luis Vasquez. I mean, that whole unit looked like they were intertwined and really played with a great sense of physicality. And the one matchup that stood out to me was Ryan Clady versus Michael Bennett. Obviously, Ryan Clady wasn't in Super Bowl 48, so you kind of at least get a little glimpse in this preseason game of the type of impact he can have on this Denver Broncos team and our championship hopes going forward. It's great to see him healthy. He's one of, I would say, probably the 5 most important players to the success of our team going into this season and our chances to win a championship. So I was really stoked to see Ryan Clady healthy and out there playing at a high level. I mean, he manhandled Michael Bennett. He played more physical, kind of let them know about it at the end of that drive, got up in their face, and Ryan Clady, like I said, really took it to Michael Bennett, who's one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL, especially in the NFC. So that was good to see. And then on the flip side of things, you saw the defensive line also of the Broncos dominate Seattle's offensive line. I thought the depth that we showed off with our defensive line in this game was great to see as a Broncos fan. You saw Marvin Austin play well. You saw Derek Wolfe back and healthy playing well. Malik Jackson looks like a different player, more confident player. Last season, obviously got more playing time due to injuries to guys like Von Miller, and Derek Wolfe had 6 sacks. And now is looking like a guy who's playing a lot more confident with more experience. Marvin Austin, a guy we picked up in the offseason, obviously was a very highly touted prospect coming out of North Carolina, played with the Giants for a little bit. Now he's here with us. He looked great, added more size and athleticism to our defensive line, and we just looked more confident as a defensive front, which I was really happy to see. And obviously, how can you mention our defensive line and our pass rush without mentioning the performance of Demarcus Ware? What a debut for Demarcus Ware here in this game. Now, one thing in Super Bowl 48 that we did a really poor job of was pressuring Russell Wilson and getting in his face or giving him getting in the way of his throwing lane every time he would break the pocket and throw on the run. Because Russell Wilson really is phenomenal at, when the pocket collapses, of getting out of trouble, getting to the outside, and making throws and plays on the run. I mean, he is super accurate and just does a great job of reading the field when he's on the run. And in Super Bowl 48, he had all day. Every time he broke the pocket, I mean, he was sitting there like jogging, when he was on the run, making throws all day and tearing our secondary apart, throwing darts. In this game, you didn't really see much of that. I thought we did a great job not only of pressuring him and collapsing the pocket initially, which is something we didn't do well in that Super Bowl game, but we did a great job of containing the edge against Russell Wilson. Anytime he would break outside, to make a play with his legs or try to make a throw on the run. Demarcus Ware was right there in his face pushing him. Derek Wolfe was chasing him down. Malik Jackson hit him really hard. I mean, we just did a great job of roughing up Russell Wilson and really never giving him clear throwing lanes to throw in and really giving him no clear windows to throw in. And that was the one thing I loved about seeing Demarcus Ware, and the one thing you're going to see him immediately impact this defense is his ability to contain the edge against mobile quarterbacks. And you saw it here against Russell Wilson. He did a phenomenal job of that. It's going to be a nasty, nasty front seven this year in Denver, and I was really excited with the way our pass rush played and primarily our defensive line played and our offensive line. We won the battle in the trenches in this game, and even though Seattle was missing a lot of starters, we were missing a few starters ourselves, and I thought we, at least in this game, again, it's preseason, so take it with a grain of salt, but we look like the more physical team here up front, and I hope to see that continue to progress throughout preseason. Demaryius Thomas also impressed the hell out of me. Obviously, this is a very big year for Demaryius, and he's had a really tough summer. I don't know if many people know this, but he did just recently lose his grandmother, someone that obviously was a big part of his life, and he's going through some personal things, missed a little bit of training camp because of that. Obviously, he's in a contract year, and there's been some rumors about his negotiations with the Broncos and what's going to happen with that. So obviously, Demaryius Thomas is a guy that has had kind of a whirlwind of the offseason, not only dealing with personal tragedy and losing someone like his grandmother, but also dealing with kind of the whole contractual thing and this being his last year. But he looks phenomenal, and I remember going to one of the summer scrimmages the Broncos did throughout their training camp this season at Invesco Field. It was like 2 weeks ago, and I remember seeing Demaryius Thomas play, and he looked phenomenal. I mean, I will stand by this against anyone, and I'll argue it with anyone. Demaryius Thomas, to me, is one of the 5 best receivers in football right now, and he's only getting better, and he showed that off here in this game. Byron Maxwell, the defensive back for the Seattle Seahawks, who was covering Demaryius Thomas in this game, got put on a highlight video. The route running has gotten better. His route running in this game looked phenomenal. Again, it looked like Byron Maxwell was lost. He lost him a couple times just because he ran a great route. And Demaryius Thomas is one of those big receivers in the NFL. Obviously, he's 6'3", 6'4", he's 230 pounds. He just does a great job of shielding the defender off with his body to position himself to make a catch, and he did that multiple times here against Byron Maxwell. It looks like his physicality's going up, his route running's improving. I mean, he had 5 catches for 52 yards in the first quarter. I mean, that is ridiculous. I don't care if it's preseason or not. I mean, his burst really impressed me. He looked good in this game. He had 6 carries for 59 yards, averaged 9.8 yards per carry, and he stood out. He stood out a lot. Jawan Thompson had a hell of a day here, and with Monty Ball obviously being out in this game, Ronnie Hillman didn't really play well. Jawan Thompson took full advantage of that opportunity and really kind of opened some eyes. And again, just his ability to run downhill, make that one cut, boom, go see the hole, just burst, go upfield. It was beautiful to watch. I mean, his burst is something else, man. He is a physical runner, and he runs through you. He's nasty. I love the way he runs, man. And I can't wait to see him play this Sunday again. I hope he has another good game because I think he's a guy that could be a really valuable member, big piece of our offense going forward for this season. And Jawan Thompson, again, just looked great. That kind of that initial burst he has when he hits the edge, and just ability to kind of get it into next gear, if you know what I'm saying. His vision really impressed me, and his ability to make that one cut and just boom, see that hole and hit it. He looked great. So was really impressed with Jawan Thompson as well. There was 25 penalties total called in this game, 13 on Seattle, 12 on us. I thought it was ridiculous. Some of the calls they hit Seattle with were pathetic. Some of the calls they hit us with were pathetic. TJ Ward was getting flagged all over the field. He's obviously got to show a little more discipline going forward. We added him, obviously, to be a physical presence in our secondary, but he got a little grabby here in this game. But we had 12 penalties for 95 yards. A lot of them were illegal contact penalties or pass interference penalties, holding penalties on our defensive secondary. So that seems like a thing that may be a theme going in this season for the NFL. I hope not. I hope the refs are going to, give a little more leeway to the defensive backs because I mean, literally, if you make any contact after those first 5 yards, they've thrown a flag. So that was the one thing I didn't really like seeing. We were kind of sloppy, and we got to know the rules a little better. Below with who you thought stood out the most in this game, whether you're a Seahawks or Broncos fan or just an NFL fan in general. Who stood out the most to you? in this game? Who impressed you the most? What did you like from what you saw from the Broncos, Seahawks, whatever? Just leave me a comment below with your thoughts of having football back and the thoughts on this game here, first preseason game for the Broncos against the Seahawks. So that's it for me. Once again, thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate the support as always. And go Broncos. Can't wait for preseason game 2.